What's up, guys? Now, I'm going to try this out with my dogs in the background. I actually have a new dog that I picked up a few weeks ago. He's an Aussie mix. And yeah, there's a lot of horseplay that goes on between him and my pit. You probably hear him. My new dog is named Ziggy, by the way, but my existing, my OG, I guess you could say, is named Gaston. So they're in the background doing their thing while I'm doing my thing here. So what's up, DCS crew? Check this out. We have a dual knife review from Artisan Cutlery. These are actually brass variants in their line, and while they vary from the standard line in the fact that they are the budget with versions of the knives in question in D2 steel, they have brass scales. Now, one of them in particular goes a bit further, and I did send it in for some modding from BJ Hill from Hilltop Knives Gear. If you're not following him on YouTube, be sure to go ahead and check them out. We're going to go ahead and check these out right after the intro. So stay tuned while I go ahead and take care and wrangle these two crazies over here. Welcome back, guys. I seem to have wrangled both of them, or at least given them enough toys to be able to cover me for the length of this video. Hopefully this turns out all right. If you hear something that sounds like keys jingling in the back, I have probably failed and the toy is destroyed. Okay, so here we go. So on my left is model 1821 BRS. On my right is model 1707 BRS. Now, the BRS designations on these two designate the fact that the handle materials are made of brass. The blade hardness on these are going to be 58 to 60 on the HRC scale, and the steel on these two knives are going to be D2. Now, these are the small versions of the knife variants, meaning that they're probably going to be about 7 to 7 to a quarter at max, maybe a little bit even less. I haven't checked the dimensions of each of the knives. I just wanted to go ahead and show both of these off because number one, I'm a big fan of brass, and I think that this was really cool. And given everything that happened with COVID-19, this was something that was that probably sold extremely well. Plus, besides the fact, these knives, I think that they were going something between like $35 and like $50 on Smoky Mountain Knife Works. It's something ridiculous. Uh-oh, you hear the jingle? Okay, it stopped. Let's keep going. So, okay, so now I'm going to start with the left one. This is actually a Dylan Mallory design that you've probably seen. This was his first design with Artisan Cutlery, and it is the Archaeo. Okay, now very similar to the standard D2 version of the Archaeo, but as you can see, it has the brass scales. I thought that this was a really cool setup. I've always wanted to own an Archaeo, and handling them at the different shows and the blade shows and stuff like that, I felt like it was a little light. So handling it something like this, it makes it feel a little bit more hefty. It gives it a little bit more heft in the hand. The purchase on it is actually really good. Plus the fact that it has D2 steel, it's actually something that you can keep on you, and you actually use and not feel almost as if like it feels flimsy. Although it never really did. It just kind of gives you that added extra, I guess, reinforcement, if you will. Okay, so this one in particular, and let me go ahead and measure it here on this side and make sure that I'm getting the measurements right. This sits right at about 7 inches. So you have a 3-inch blade and you have a 4-inch handle ratio. So that's actually a pretty good ratio on there. I don't know if you've seen the blade ratio video that I've done on one of my other videos. It's actually pretty cool how I come up with that. But in any case, that is something that I really like about this knife. It's good consideration with regards to not only blade restriction in a lot of states, but the fact that it flows well. You see an overall blade to scale ratio that just happens to work well with this particular one from Artisan Cutlery. Okay, so now moving on, I'm going to go ahead and go to the next one. Now, this one is a little bit unique, and I'm going to actually place this box to the side. Okay, this is model 1707 BRS. Now, guys, this one actually started off as brass. And I'll just go ahead and say it. It's the Artisan Cutlery Mini Shark, and I'm gonna put it actually up here so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, and what started off as brass was actually something that I kind of figured, okay, well, you know, it's brass and it's got the, you know, the stainless steel, you know, the hardware, everything looks nice. But my buddy BJ Hill from Hilltop Knives and Gear went ahead and did some work on some of Big Red EDC's other knives. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, that's your boy right here, JB from Big Red EDC. He actually also hosts a little knife chat called Saturday Knife Live. So if you are on Saturdays when this is up, be sure to go ahead and check it out. He's a really cool cat. I'm usually on there. And in fact, you know what? For the rest of this video, I'm going to wear a little something that he sent over to me that shows Big Red EDC. So this is actually what turned me on to this style. Now, believe it or not, this is also brass, and it's a huge difference from what the Archaeo has, and I'm going to tell you why. So the way this actually came out was this ended up being a knife that I was kind of interested in, but what threw me off was the fact that this particular model, it comes with blue liners. Okay, I don't know if you remember when Civivi first came out with their knives, they had like colored liners, and they were nice designs, but they had those liners. They kind of threw me off. So, you know, unlike some of the other ones from Artisan that didn't have those liners, this one was one of those where it was just like, it's nice, but it's not really quite my thing, until I saw the brass variant. And I'm like, yo, that looks kind of cool, but the hardware doesn't really match the fact that you have the brass and then you have the blue liners. So I remembered that on Big Red EDC's channel, he had actually done something with BJ Hill from Hilltop Knives and Gear and sent him something. So I reached out to Hilltop Knives and Gear. I spoke with BJ myself, and I'm like, hey man, I got this model that I'd like to go ahead and mod. I told him what I had in mind, and he's like, sure, no problem. I'm like, well, how much, you know, do you want for it? And he's like, look, just, you know, if you like that model, I think it's kind of cool. So send me another one. You know, just pick up 2 of these. Yours is going to be one of them, and then the other one is going to be mine. That way I can just mod that one myself. So I went ahead and I sent it to him, and this is what he did, and he came back with it. And I'm actually really blown away by his work. He did some really cool stuff with this, and I wanted to go ahead and show it. So basically, aside from the fact that these are brass scales that have been patina, it's a forced patina that he's put on it. He actually uses kind of like a matte, I want to say a matte coating, a spray paint, to be able to go ahead and create this kind of this coating so that the patina stays nice and presentable. But aside from that, if you look very closely, it's a matte patina. I'm sorry, it's a matte finish, and then that blue hardware just kind of sticks out and it kind of pops because it's nice and shiny because of it. And then aside from that, what he did was he heat anodized the pivot hardware and the clip, as well as the standoffs and the over travel stop, I guess you could say. And you know, he put it back together. I mean, he did a fantastic job putting it right back together. It, I mean, falls shut. It's on bearings, just like the Archaeo. And other than that, I mean, you know, the blade itself is untouched. This one in particular, I just want to go ahead and see. Yeah, it's very similar in size. Let me look at the dimensions between this and the Archaeo. So if I'm not mistaken, while the blade shape is different, the overall dimensions are pretty much the same. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but they look to be just about the same. So there you have it, folks. That is the Mini Shark and the Artisan Cutlery, or the Mini Archaeo from this one is from Dylan Mallard. I forget who this is from, but in any case, both really cool designs. Something I've been dying to go ahead and do for a little while. It's a nice little knife mod. Big thanks to first off to Big Red EDC for going ahead and turning me on to BJ from Hilltop Knives and Gear. And aside from that, big ups to BJ for doing this for me. You know, I told him, look, take your time, do it right, and send it back to me when you're done. And I mean, look, I mean, guys, I can't stress this enough. Just the detail. I mean, you know, there are hints of the brass Let me go ahead and see if I can focus on this a little bit more. There are little hints on the brass here and there, but then it kind of gives it that cloudy, like this darkened look, and then there's hints of white and blue from that forced patina. You know, all of the anodized hardware, has that kind of like copperish or brass look, and then, I mean, the matte look on these scales, as well as just that flash on the liners, on those blue liners. I'm sorry, this is freaking awesome. Artisan Cutlery, CJRB, whatever you to choose to talk about. You guys need a mod team, and you guys need to do something very similar to this, because this is really freaking nice, guys. I'm sorry, but this is freaking awesome. Okay, so that being said, this is the video that I want to go ahead and show you today. It was just a rather quick one. Go on and get back to your business on your your standard day. If you want to go ahead and check out some of my other videos, feel free to go ahead and click subscribe, click like if you liked what you saw, and be sure to go ahead and give a shout out to Big Red EDC, as well as Hilltop Knives and Gear, when you have a moment. And just remember, whatever you choose to EDC, whether it's brass, whether it's G10, micarta, I mean, even FRN, like this little Shuffle 2 from Kershaw, just remember, if you EDC, think of DCS, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you on the flip side. Take it easy.